what does it look like to be a part of a church that matters to the world? I remember in the midst of COVID, there was a church here locally that, because they were committed to production value, and there's nothing wrong with being committed to production value, they would pre-record their services on a Thursday and then broadcast them during COVID when the building was closed on Sunday. Well, the problem for our community, Greater Grand Rapids, is that there had been significant unrest around racial injustice events that were happening both locally and nationally. And they were seared into the brains of people in West Michigan. And you've been here, things can be pretty neat and tidy, but there's a string of cars that were on fire in downtown Grand Rapids, which just doesn't happen here. No. And when the message went live, there was no mention of any of that because it just happened after the recording had happened. And again, I'm not trying to make a value judgment there, but when the world is desperately hungry for a gospel that touches their deep pain and their immediate concern about humanity, and they feel like the church is either ignoring it or blind to it or withholding it, that can be disappointing at best and betraying at worst.
Well, that would be my answer. Thank you, Steve. I think that is exactly the problem. I mean, the church is meant to show up to make Jesus and the kingdom of God visible in the world. That's the mission of the church, to make the gospel of God's love and mercy and salvation in Jesus Christ and God's character and love and justice and mercy visible in the ordinary world. And if there's a disconnect between those two things, which radically and painfully there often is, then it's no wonder that people outside the church are skeptics of whether there could be anything credible about what we're actually witnessing to. So we say that we're this, but we don't do that. This is exactly the critique of Isaiah 58. You worship me, and then the word in English translation is as if. You worship me as if you were people who practiced righteousness. I mean, it's dripping in divine sarcasm. This feeling of you say you're doing this as though you were going to actually live a life that reflects my life. But you go out and you plunder your servants and you abuse people left and right, and you're completely inattentive to the needs of the poor. And God in Isaiah 58 is just saying, that is not worship that honors me. So what he's referring to is not the liturgical worship, it's the lived worship in the streets that shows that, in fact, the thing that we are bearing witness to, namely God's love in Jesus Christ, is authenticated by the way the church loves and serves in the world. So it's exactly the kind of disconnect that you're describing is the crisis. Why that exists is itself the crisis, and what's behind that and what's behind that, that's the work that needs to be done. At Fuller, we're leading this project called Rethinking Church in the 21st Century. And there's international, national, and local people that are involved in this enterprise. And we're finding consistency across all three dimensions about the disconnection and the need to make those connections renewed, deep, refreshed, and vivid.